Good day, viewers. Welcome to our next episode of TIL Legal Tips. Now, this Citizenship Amendment Law has been in the limelight for quite some time. And today with us, we have an expert in this field, Mrs. Sushila Varma, advocate and CEO at the Indian Lawyer and Allied Services.
Thank you, Harini. Team The Indian Lawyer, you have chosen a trending topic, a topic which is causing a lot of confusion in the minds of people, and hence it's a very apt topic for this week, the Citizenship Amendment Act.
So, ma'am, could you please elaborate to our viewers as to who is a citizen under the Indian laws?
Now, answering your query as to who is a citizen of India, let me explain the 6 categories of people that fall within the definition. The first would be citizenship at the commencement of the Constitution of India, that is in 1950. Secondly, citizenship by birth. Thirdly, citizenship by descent, which means either both your parents are Indians or at least one of them is an Indian. Then citizenship by registration, where a person has applied to the Indian government for registering themselves as citizens and have been allowed to do so. And the last category would be citizenship by naturalization. Now, naturalization means that any foreigner who has lived in India for 1 year and thereafter continue to live in India for the next 11 years uninterruptedly can apply to the government of India to be recognized as a citizen of India. Once he is recognized as a citizen of India, he is deemed to be citizen by naturalization. There are 2 points that I would like to pause and clarify over here. First is that when we say citizenship at the commencement of the Constitution, we mean people who were domiciled in India as on 26 November 1949 automatically become citizens of India with the commencement of the Constitution. Another aspect that has to be clarified is not every person born in India automatically becomes a citizen of the country. Children who are born out of foreign parents or children who are born to enemy aliens cannot deem to be Indians by birth.
So, we have heard that the Citizenship Amendment Act has been amended in the year 2019. So, ma'am, could you please explain as to what has this amendment brought about?
Now, answering your query as to what does CAA mean? It means the Citizenship Amendment Act 2019. What this act does is that it facilitates the application for Indian citizenship by migrants or foreigners who have been victims of religious persecution and who have sought asylum in India.
So, who does this Citizenship Amendment Act specifically apply to?
This act applies to 6 categories of individuals, which is Hindus, Sikhs, Jains, Buddhists, Christians, and Parsis who have migrated from Pakistan, Bangladesh, or Afghanistan to India in order to avoid religious persecution.
Well, then, how does the Citizenship Amendment Act benefit persons coming from these 6 minority communities and from the 3 neighboring countries?
The CAA provides a legal avenue for such victims who have migrated to India seeking asylum, even if they lack travel documents such as a passport or a visa, provided they can demonstrate that they have been made a victim of religious persecution. Now, what happens is, in a case of naturalization, a foreigner has to wait for 12 long years before he or she can make an application to the Indian government. In this case, where you are applying under the CAA, the time period has been slashed from 12 years to 6 years. What such a victim of religious persecution has to show is that they have lived in India for 1 year and thereafter they have lived in India uninterruptedly for the next 5 years. If they are able to show this, then the Indian government can consider giving them citizenship under the CAA.
So, ma'am, does this Citizenship Amendment Act affect in any manner any Indian citizen, be it Hindu, Muslim, or any other religious community?
No, the CAA does not affect any Indian citizen, be it a Muslim or a Hindu or any other religious sect.
So, ma'am, if you could please clarify as to whether the Citizenship Amendment Act will apply to any foreign national not coming from these three neighboring countries or not belonging to these six minority communities?
The CAA is restricted to only those six categories of persons that have been mentioned in the Act. That is, people who are from the communities of Hindu, Sikh, Jain, Parsi, Buddhist, or Christian, hailing from three countries, that is, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Afghanistan, and does not include any other country or any other sect of people.
Well, ma'am, statistically speaking, has Indian citizenship been granted to any person coming from these six minority communities from the three neighboring countries so far?
Now, answering your question as to whether India has given refuge to people from the three neighboring countries in the recent past, the answer is yes, it has. Some 2,830 persons have been given citizenship from Pakistan. Some 172 people from Bangladeshis have been given citizenship, and some 912 people from Afghanistan have been recognized as Indian citizens. This data is collected from the internet, and there is no way we can verify the veracity of the same.
So we have heard a lot about the National Register of Citizens. Ma'am, if you could please clarify as to whether there is any connection or link between the Citizenship Amendment Act and the National Register of Citizens.
There is a lot of controversy and confusion between the Citizenship Amendment Act and the National Register of Citizens. Now, let me clarify one thing. The National Citizen Register, or the National Register of Citizens, NRC as it is known, is basically a place where the details of all Indian citizens are mentioned, recorded, and kept for posterity. But that is not to say it has got anything to do with the Citizenship Amendment Act. The Citizenship Amendment Act is giving people or migrants who are victims of religious persecution to apply for Indian citizenship after a period of staying in India for more than 6 years.
So, coming to our last question of today's episode, reportedly, there have been quite a few petitions that have been filed in the Supreme Court that have challenged the constitutional validity of the Citizenship Amendment Act. So, ma'am, could you please give us a little background of this case and what is the status quo?
Yes, there has been a lot of controversy in after the passing of the Citizenship Amendment Act in 2019. Some 200 odd writ petitions were filed in the Supreme Court of India, where it was challenged that how can only six communities be recognized for granting of citizenship, and why are Muslims not part of the classification. At that point of time, the Supreme Court was of the view that since only the Act had been passed and the rules had not been notified, there was no way that the Act could actually be applicable. After the Supreme Court's observation, the controversy died a slow death, and it is only after the rules for the Citizenship Amendment Act were notified on 11th March 2024 that the matter again went up into a lot of controversy. There was a flurry of legal challenges filed by the Indian Union Muslim League, Then again, another set of writ petitions filed by the Democratic Youth Front of India. And finally, there were some filed by the All Assam Students Union, where a lot of issues were raised about the constitutional applicability of the Citizenship Amendment Act. These matters continue to be pending in the Supreme Court, and one has to wait and watch to see how the judges in the Supreme Court decide this controversial issue. If you have liked this video, please share, like, and subscribe so that we are encouraged to make many more such videos in the interest of the public. A small word of caution: the episode's legal tips are basically tips and cannot be deemed to be legal advice. If any client wants legal advice, they are asked to approach lawyers who will be able to guide them specifically as per their facts. Thank you, and please join us once again on legal tips in the next episode. Jai Hind.